presented by the UK Persian Rifle Honor Guard. Our national anthem is performed by Kelsey Leslie, a graduate student in the opera department at the UK School of Music, College of Fine Arts.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Ladies and gentlemen.
We're going to run through it.
At forward, a 6'9" senior.
Just a couple miles across campus inside Rupp Arena. The final exhibition game for the second-ranked Kentucky Wildcats hosting Indiana University of Pennsylvania, the Division II power. Along with Damian Fishback, Kevin Fitzgerald. All right, the second-ranked Wildcats, one final exhibition game. One last tune-up for this second-rated recruiting class before the regular season gets underway.
Oh, they play basketball here. We forgot the football game tomorrow with Georgia and Kentucky. That's right, Big Blue Nation. We know best recruiting class that I've seen in a very long time. Some of the coaches say since 2014-15, and we know what Big Blue Nation did that year. Keldon Johnson, number 7. I think the one lottery pick that's guaranteed to come out this year, E.J. Montgomery, another highly talented freshman, Mr. Versatility. Ashton Hagans, one of the best I've seen, showing his ability to get by one-on-one. Emmanuel quickly, find him quick, or you will pay from behind the three-point line. And Tyler Hero, comparisons to Rex Chapman, I think he has a chance to be even better. Sensational freshman class.
So 4 of those 5-star recruits for John Calipari, now 10 years at Kentucky. Seems more at ease. He has so much confidence in the progress this group has made to this point. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no question.
Are we going to show
Number 25, B.J. Washington. At forward, a 6'6" graduate student from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Number 22, Reed Travis. At guard, a 6'3" freshman from Cartersville, Georgia. Number 2, Ashton Hagans. At guard, a 6'6" freshman from South Hill, Virginia. Number 3, Keldon Johnson. Next man for the Wildcats, the Eruption Zone.
Thanks, Paul. Just a couple miles across campus inside Rupp Arena. Here they come, the second-ranked Kentucky Wildcats hosting Division II Indiana University of Pennsylvania, the final exhibition game for the Wildcats. And with the former Auburn star, Davian Fishback, Kevin Fitzgerald, one more exhibition before the start of the regular season, one more tune-up for this second-rated recruiting class for the Wildcats.
Yeah, as excited as they are about football, they're just as excited about basketball, too. And one of the reasons, Kevin, is it's the second-ranked recruiting class in the country. I think still underrated, possibly. Keldon Johnson, a projected lottery pick, in my opinion. E.J. Montgomery, Mr. Versatility at his best. Ashton Hagans, I think, is the best at getting by his defender that I've seen this year. Emmanuel Quickly, if you do not find him quickly, he will make you pay from behind the three-point line. And Tyler, could he be my hero? He's Rex Chapman's hero. He's another version of him I think has the potential to be even better than Rex Chapman was.
4 of those 5-star recruits, now 10 years for John Calipari. He is so pleased with the progress of this unit this year. A lot of confidence amongst his guys. We haven't even started the regular season yet.
Yeah, the young man is like fine wine. He continues to get better with time, Kevin.
Indiana University of Pennsylvania visiting from Western PA. And here we go, one final tune-up for the Wildcats before the start of the regular season inside Rupp Arena. There's the shooter you pointed out, Tyler Hero, and he drains his first triple.
Yeah, they're so versatile. This young group right now has particular chemistry that I haven't seen in a lot of the other freshman classes. Maybe that's because of the trip to the Bahamas, but I love the way they're thriving here early.
They push each other in practice and have become such a close-knit team early on. Here's the starting unit for the Crimson Hawks. Now Kentucky's ranked number 2 in the country in the Division II rankings. Indiana University, Pennsylvania, number 8. This is always a strong Division II program.
Yeah, under Coach Lombardi, the 10th straight year, Kevin, that they've been ranked in the top 25. He's done a sensational job and a lot of pride here with IUP.
This is Jacobo Diaz, the All-American. Can stretch the floor a bit. He's got some game.
Well, he's got good size, nice versatility, and you'll really love his touch from the outside.
And he shows some defense as well. Dante Lombardi with the pass back to Willem Brondwick.
I like that. The young fella's not scared. Coach's son, and their coach was very confident in practice. I like this. Coach Cal said this is exactly what his young Wildcat team needed.
This is P.J. Washington who hits the 3, the returning sophomore.
How about the change that he's made? From a development of his body, his mentality has changed. He's one of the leaders on this basketball team. Glad to see him come back. I think it'll pay dividends for him this year in the draft.
So Kentucky always ranked and now second in the country preseason. A couple threes to start. That was the Achilles heel of the team a year ago.
That will not be a problem this year.
No. So here's the senior, Dante Lombardi, had that nice feed just a few moments ago. And it sounds familiar. He's the coach's son. How about this pass?
Well, turnovers, right? I like it behind the neck. A nice job of continuing to run the floor. They will not be intimidated. We talked about Coach Lombardi. I mean, they've had exhibition games in the past against Michigan State. They've been to Villanova. They've been to Syracuse. And so even though that's not Big Blue Nation, they will not be intimidated. They are fearless.
P.J. Washington with the fearless move inside. Stays with the Crimson Hawks. John Calipari has been in Kentucky for quite a while. Joe Lombardi, this is his 13th season at IUP in Indiana, Pennsylvania. So detail-oriented. You were impressed with his practices the last couple of days.
Impressed with him as an individual as well. He talks about his humility, a nice back cut, that time, of course, by Miller. Another veteran on this basketball team playing with confidence. But Coach Lombardi is a guy who talks about humility and gratitude, and you see that with his team as well.
And now Miller pushes again. Couple turnovers this team has forced, and Brondwig with a couple jams at the rim.
If you thought it was going to be easy, you've got another thing coming. I think this is perfect. We all know the game that's coming up after this on November the 6th. This is a great test for this Wildcat team.
Kentucky and Reed Travis open up with Duke.
Well, Reed Travis, right? This is a young man that had over 1,400 points and 700 rebounds. And so whenever you have the Wildcats face some type of adversity, I look forward to seeing him being the answer.
Travis, the fifth-year grad transfer from Stanford. There's a foul away from the ball.
The foul is on Washington. That's his first.
So we highlighted the recruiting class. All right, you're always going to bring in strong prospects. But like you said, how about the two-time first-team All-Pac-12 performer?
Well, he's the reason why I think a lot of people are projecting that Kentucky Wildcats have a nice opportunity to get to the Final Four. When you think about the team that won the national championship, you think about some of the other teams that went to the Final Four, it's well known that it was the veterans that made the difference.
Lombardi, guarded by Ashton Hagans. Now the ball into the corner for Brondwig. Going to work on Travis.
That's
and
nice.
The floater.
Love that. Well, Travis likes to bang, but Brondwig likes to bang as well. He's got good size. He matches up with him physically, and his skill set's impressive.
Tyler Hero starts doing that. Look out in the SEC this season. He's the freshman from just outside of Milwaukee. Already 3 triples for the Wildcats. So this is the second exhibition game for Kentucky. He didn't hit too many threes last week against Transylvania, and right out of the gates, 3 out of 3.
Well, and this is what you were talking about a little bit earlier, Kevin. When you talk about the returning percentage of scoring, 32% this year. You see what's happened in the past from the NCAA title in 11-12 and then the Final Fours. And even last year I thought was an impressive coaching job. I think an underrated coaching job by the staff of Coach Cal, just getting that young team to the Sweet 16. And I think it's one of the reasons why expectations are once again high here at Big Blue Nation.
We highlight experience. A few sophomores.
That's experience here, Kevin.
19 compared to 18. That's quite a bit of veteran experience at Kentucky. Emmanuel quickly off the mark, rebound down to Armani Foster. On the other hand, you have experience like Dante Lombardi. He's a senior. 3 seniors return for the Crimson Hawks this season. Lombardi with a nice find. Diaz running the baseline. And here's E.J. Montgomery into the game for the first time. Another 5-star. Ball pushed ahead to Keldon Johnson. Foul underneath. It's on Diaz. And the ball stays here. Kentucky has it back when we return.
Yeah, give a lot of credit, though. IUP right now, not scared. Brondwig is here at Big Blue Nation Rupp Arena, and he is bringing it. I see you, big fella. He ain't scared. He ain't scared.
Share with #ShareTheLex. Explore Lexington at ShareTheLex.com.
The final exhibition game before the regular season for Kentucky, and it's IUP visiting from where? Indiana, Pennsylvania. Division II power. Joe Lombardi's team has been to the national title game twice in the last decade. Division II school with an enrollment right around 12,000 or so, and head coach Joe Lombardi, he's not only coaching his senior, his son, Dante. Dominic played for him a couple years ago. Dominic was on Kentucky's coaching staff not long ago.
That's right, that's right. And now over at Morehead State, in which they scrimmaged a little bit earlier. What's been most impressive about Coach Lombardi, like I said earlier, is his humility. He even talked about how well the community of Pennsylvania really contributed to the success of that team. A lot of Division II teams don't have, 8, 9, 10 scholarships, and there's people throughout that community who have helped him be where they are today.
And that is a proven winner. When he arrived at IUP, they won 6 games. They're now 3 years removed from the national title game appearance. And always ranked, as you mentioned, in the top 25. Free ball falls into IUP. That's Greg Barrer with the rebound for the Crimson Hawks.
One thing you see early with this Kentucky team, with their youth, they're accustomed to just going and getting the rebound. They're going to have to learn to put bodies on individuals, not just use their athleticism.
Diaz with the fall away. Travis with the rebound. Johnson finds Hero, the hot hand, and he's got a few threes. That's his third.
That's what I really like about this Kentucky team. You can see that even from the early games in the Bahamas, how unselfish this group is. They do not mind giving up the basketball.
That's a great point. Remember the Bahamas trip for Kentucky. A week together playing professional teams in August. There's Barrer, knocks down the three.
Like that shot fake, have to find him quickly. A very good shooter, 6'3", 190-pound senior, fearless in the open floor.
Emmanuel quickly. Nice head fake, his shot off the mark. Travis with a rebound on this end now, and he's at the line for a pair. So Kentucky against Duke on Tuesday. Remember, next Friday, this team is back on SEC Network, hosts Southern Illinois inside Rupp Arena at 7, followed by top 25 matchup. Washington visits Auburn Arena. How about a top 25 matchup early in the year? Damian Fishback will be there for that one.
I am too excited for that game. We know it's a tough environment. Auburn coming off of an SEC championship last year. You talk about the likes of Austin Wiley being back and their guard play of Bryce Brown and Jared Harper. But this Washington team, I know Jimmy Dykes talked about in a previous game that they actually dominated Nevada by 25 points in a scrimmage. But in their last scrimmage, didn't quite look as well, a little sluggish. I know Coach Hopkins will have his team ready to play Pac-12 versus the SEC, a nice matchup to open up the season.
You know the former Syracuse assistant, Mike Hopkins, will have his team ready to go.
Be a mixture in styles, right? The pace of Auburn, we know they like to get up and down. The way they scored the basketball last year versus that 2-3 zone, it'll be a good game.
Nick Richards, you saw, just checked into the game for Kentucky. Coach Calipari, he said he was going to go with 4 different lineups in each half of the exhibitions. So Richards off the bench for the first time. He guards the big man on the baseline. That's Marko Krivacevic. This is Washington, steps into a long 2.
Coach Cal talked about it earlier. He said that he wanted this team to shoot the 3 because they shot it so much better, but he did not want them to live outside. He still wanted them to play the game inside out.
Kentucky fans want shooters this year. They've got plenty, no?
Sure. They've got a plethora of shooters, but still you want to take good shots. That was a little quick by P.J. Washington.
Washington, the sophomore. Late in the shot clock, the hounding defense. Shot blocked, and Nick Richards got a piece of Krivacevic's 3. Hero can drive, and the finger roll rolls off.
Look good, $1 million move, penny finish. He will finish that as he continues to go throughout the year, though.
Hero plays with quite a bit of confidence. Ball stays here. Kentucky with the 5-point advantage. So Hero is all set to go to Wisconsin. And an opportunity to play at Kentucky opens up. He said, I want to play with the best players around me on the floor. That's how I'll better my game.
That's the one non-negotiable with Coach Cal. And you see him, as well as the rest of the crowd, giving Hero a nice round of applause. The one negotiable or non-negotiable is that you have to be willing to compete. You look at Karl Anthony Towns. Dakari Johnson, Willie Cauley-Stein was already here. Karl Anthony Towns came anyway, and you see the success that he had. It's that same mindset with Devin Booker. You come to Kentucky, you have to be willing to compete.
We have watched that competition in practice and shoot around the last couple days. A foul underneath. And IUP with the basketball when we return. Kentucky 5-point edge early on.
I knew it would be able. That's right. Help. And now it's time for the Hunt Brothers Health Camp. Stop by the main concourse and get a hunk of pizza.
This isn't your box, is it?
Yeah, mine is over there. I think this one is yours.
This is mine, okay. Hello, hello, hello. Anyone? There we go. That sounds better.
And that is a catch by David Bouvier. Wilson has Bouvier again, and he's hit down at the 35.
Wilson throws it to Bowden. He's across the 20. 5 seconds. He's across the 10, and he goes out of bounds. Terry Wilson. He's going to throw. Conrad! Touchdown! Kentucky! Victory! Kentucky!
And the SEC East Championship game is coming to Lexington, folks.
Mark Stoops, after last week's Kentucky victory over Missouri, regardless of how it goes the rest of the way, Mark Stoops wins for that one, no question about it. SEC Nation, SEC Now is here this weekend. Laura Rutledge, Marcus Spears joins us.
What's up, guys?
I want to talk
Thank
basketball. I'm a basketball aficionado. I want to talk about
Okay, well, what do you
Kentucky
see, Mr.
basketball.
Spears?
What are you seeing?
First of all, this freshman Tyler Hero can stroke it.
He can stroke it.
He
no
can
doubt.
stroke it. And Keldon is struggling a little bit. You can tell he's a freshman. That's my analysis tonight.
All right,
Football thing.
All right, so you talk basketball, I'll talk a little football. And we're excited about SEC Nation being in town, and the SEC East will be decided tomorrow, so we'll be here to figure it all out, and our show starts at 10 a.m. right here on the SEC ESPN Network.
Yeah.
Well, I don't, Marcus, I need you to not get upset with me, but I was talking to a Kentucky fan earlier, and they said something about this is the biggest game since 2007. A #1 team from LSU came in here.
Brother, listen.
I told him to bag back.
We're going to skip all the way over that. This is the biggest game, I think, in Kentucky football history. And to have some type of context, Lexington, Kentucky is one of the centers of college football right now. And I never thought I would see that. I never thought I would see that. It's tough to recruit. Mark Stoops has to go up to Ohio and get players. And you compare that to everybody in the Southeast, it's tough to win at Kentucky. So the fact that they're in this position with the possibility of going to Atlanta if they get a win tomorrow against Georgia, I think it's something that the whole world of sports need to be on notice about.
And you could feel the confidence in the players today. Talking to Josh Allen, Benny Snell, everybody, they are not scared of Georgia.
Yeah.
They're proud of what they've done so far, and they feel like at this point, getting to this game and still knowing that the East is on the line gives them even more mojo going forward.
How has Mark Stoops stoked that confidence from September to where we are now?
I think a lot of it is just believing in his guys, and it sounds simple, but he trusted in them and believed in them, and they were laying that groundwork at SEC Media Days, Marcus. We felt this quiet confidence brewing amongst them. It ends up really showing on the field.
Yeah, what he did was, first of all, I give this administration a lot of credit because they had patience with Mark Stoops, and they understood the landscape that they were in because of college football. Now you invest in new facilities, and then you get an opportunity to play in Atlanta. Listen to me, guys. If the Kentucky Wildcats run out on the field in the Georgia Dome, believe me, there are people in this arena right now and that's been following this football program that are in there, that are elderly, that never thought that they would see that happen. So just the possibility of that possibly going down is a big thing here in Lexington, man.
I agree. Well, and your man Keldon Johnson's picked it up, by the way.
Yeah.
I got another.
Since you sat down, it's like it was good luck.
He heard you talking about
it,
as well as Kentucky's defense on this end. So speaking of defense, so is it true that Georgia has only had 10 sacks?
10 total.
10 total sacks, and Mr. Allen has had 9?
He's got 9. He's the best defensive player in the country this year. And he wasn't a guy that a lot of us talked about leading into the season because he was a tweener. You guys know a lot about that in basketball.
We do.
What position is he? Well, he went up to 255 in weight. Right. He became an outside linebacker with the ability to pass rush. His first step is unbelievable. He got a first step like a guy used to play here named John Wall coming off the line of scrimmage.
I like that.
And then, too, when you look at his production on the field, it's not only getting after the passer, it's in the run game. He's affecting the entire football game from his position, so that's why he's looked upon like that right now.
We will be talking a lot about him tomorrow on SEC Nation. We've also got giveaways and all kinds of fun stuff, so if people happen to be in Lexington, come out to the William C. Young Library, hang out with us, but also watch us on TV. It's going to be a festival, a big celebration of Kentucky football.
No doubt.
And this entire campus.
I love Benny Snell. How good has he been this year?
He has been, first of all, Benny Snell has been underappreciated for about 3 years now, right? We had the Leonard Fournettes and the Darius Geises, and we had the big name running backs throughout this conference, sprinkled everywhere. Benny Snell has just consistently ran for 1,000 yards and about 12 touchdowns a year, and nobody talks about it. But guys, it goes back to the fact that he plays football in Lexington, Kentucky. And look, we're sitting in Rupp Arena right now talking about Kentucky football. This is the first. This is probably the first time it has ever happened in the history of this school. But Benny Snell is a tremendous player. He's a Sunday player. He's going to be a dynamic back on the next level. But more than anything, this team, and Laura can tell you more because she's had more in action, they take his personality, and that's how they play.
Snell, yeah. I mean, it's all about Snell, yeah. And you talk to him, and he embraces that. And you're right about them taking on the personality. But I think one thing that this coaching staff deserves a ton of credit for is they've developed these guys. Yeah. A lot of these guys weren't highly recruited. They brought them in here. They developed them into a team that is now contending for the SEC East title and has a chance to win it tomorrow.
Well, you said has a chance, Laura. It sounds like to me, I know people at home have been listening, it sounds like to me that somebody in this unit here is leaning towards the Kentucky Wildcats tomorrow. That's what it sounds like.
Well, let me say this, not to give away everything because you got to come to SEC Nation.
That's right. That's right.
But this team has played 8 games so far this year on their own terms. So, Fitch, we talked earlier when I saw you at practice. Kentucky is one of those football teams where you end up in the fourth quarter and you like, man, they up 3 points. Right. But they not that good. That's what you're telling your teammates if you're on the other team. They not that good. But they are a team that are going to play you how they want to play you. And if you can't sustain for 4 quarters, eventually what they do will take over the game. I don't think I'm leaning yet. But I'm telling you, being at home in the matchup situation that they have with Georgia is a good one for Kentucky football.
So it starts at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And I agree. Just the vibe around campus, it's palpable. We walked into practice yesterday. Coach Cal, first thing he says was ask us. All right, who do you have on Saturday? Who do you got?
And all these Kentucky basketball guys, here's a little teaser for our show. They were interviewed about football and had some incredible comments about how much they care about the football program and how much they are rooting for these guys. Just want them, have that Kentucky pride, want them to come out with a W.
Is it a Kentucky takeover? Because they've been doing it in volleyball, they've been doing it in soccer. You got football tomorrow, and we know what's going on in Rupp Arena.
Fish, it's been about, for what we're watching right now, it's been about players. It's been about getting dynamic players on campus, developing. That's what Cal has done. Look, Anthony Davis, John Wall. You think of all of these names, DeMarcus Cousins. All of these guys were developed over time. But with that being said, it's a program thing now for Kentucky football. They made the investment to make football a part of the tradition of Kentucky, which in so many people's mind was an afterthought because of what happens here in this arena. Now Kentucky football has made the investment, not only in the facilities, but in the players. They made the investment in Mark Stoops. They stuck with him through hard times, and now you're seeing that coming to fruition, man. It's amazing feeling. Look, I'm telling you guys, I've been around this conference. I played in this conference. If somebody would have told me in the year 2018 the SEC East was going to run through Lexington, Kentucky, I'd have bet everything I had that it would never do it.
They proved you wrong, Marcus.
They did, Els.
Hey, ever since we sat down, Kentucky basketball has gone on a little run here.
Well, I was about to ask you.
I mean, come on.
You look at Reed Travis now. I know you used to hit hard now, Marcus, but what do you think? Number 22 and what?
That's a good-looking tight end right there. if it don't work out in basketball, Reed, I'm telling you, you can come out there and make $1 million a year playing tight end like Antonio Gates did.
How about a 14-0 run?
I'm telling you. I mean, we're not leaving for the rest of the game. Are you guys cool with that? Hey, and by the way, this Kentucky basketball team allowed us to come to practice today and shoot around. And, I mean, you guys were there too, but it was pretty neat to see what's brewing here on this court. Obviously, it's November, and it takes Cal a little while to get it where he wants it to be.
That's right.
But it's already starting, and you can see it.
Fish, I'm going to tell you this, man, the intensity of practice today, like as a football player, there is no way in the world we would have went that hard in a practice with a game the same night. This is a different type of shape. This is a different type of body. But the one thing I loved about watching them in practice was the intensity that Cal had getting after these guys and letting them know how important it was on the defensive end of the basketball court. And that's when they made the jump last year. I asked him after practice, I said, did Shai Gilgeous-Alexander take a step forward? And at what point did that happen? He said it happened on the point when he started using that 7-foot wingspan to play some defense and turnover in the transition point. So hopefully they'll get to that point, or Cal gonna end up pulling his hair out like he does sometimes.
SEC Nation at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Marcus Spears, Laura Rutledge joining us.
Thank you,
this
guys.
This is going to be quite the weekend.
I'm calling basketball from now on. I'm done with football. Fish, take my spot on SEC Nation.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks
Fish
for
tomorrow
having
at
us.
10 as well.
I know who he's picking.
Kentucky doubling up IUP inside Rupp Arena.
What's up, Big Blue Nation? So good to see you guys. I'm Laura Rutledge, and this is Marcus Spears. And we're here because the SEC East
Football Championship goes through Lexington, Kentucky. Let's go. We are so excited that SEC Nation is in town, and we want all of you to come out and join us tomorrow morning. We'll be at the William T. Young Library. 10 a.m. Eastern is when our show begins. We've got giveaways and all kinds of fun coming your way, and certainly a lot of talk about this Kentucky Wildcats football team, Marcus.
Yo, this is the big swagoo. Listen, the SEC East runs through Lexington, Kentucky. I think that deserves a standing ovation. I think everybody should stand up for this football team.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody in the arena. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Every single one of you is going to be with us tomorrow, right? We're going to have the biggest crowd ever in SEC Nation history. Let's show them what Big Blue Nation's all about.
Hey, thank you guys for having us. I'm going to do this fine bump cam. I don't know what it is, but they need to put it on me right now. Where is it? There it is.
You talk about elite, you talk about Goliaths, this crowd is going to be rocking. The jerseys say it all. Duke and Kentucky.
The most famous blue uniforms in college basketball.
Two of the prize programs in America.
Get the popcorn ready, get the drink ready, and sit back and relax and enjoy this game.
We're lucky we get the Champions Classic a week early this year. Number 2 and number 4 at 9:30 Eastern Time on Tuesday, November 6th. Duke defeated Kentucky in 2012. Kentucky came back and won 3 years ago. So here we go. They're going to battle on Tuesday. Number 2 against number 4. Here is your AP preseason top 10. And of course, those two would find themselves in the top 5 where they typically sit this time of year.
The nation will be glued to the television to see those matchups. We all know about Kansas and Michigan State, but this Kentucky-Duke matchup, we talked about the recruiting classes, and when you talk about Zion Williamson, you talk about a guy like R.J. Barrett matching up against these freshmen, as well as Cam Reddish, shoots the cover off the ball as well. I can't wait to see that young group of guys who were just in high school last year go head-to-head.
They may be the best group of freshmen in the country. Well, they're the first and second rated recruiting classes. Duke and Kentucky going 1-2 according to the ESPN Top 100 Recruiting Nation. Dante Lombardi hit one from the other side of the floor a moment ago. Was trying to splash a second. Oh, Hero has splashed 3. He was looking for number 4. P.J. Washington with the effort on the block.
That's where they're dangerous. I was just about to give IUP a lot of credit because they did go on a nice run, right? Kentucky defended well, turned them over a couple of times, but IUP continues to hang around. Look for the veterans right now. Look for Diaz, look for Lombardi to continue to try to pick this team up.
Remember, we mentioned 3 seniors in this starting lineup, including Kobo Diaz, the All-American.
Well, you see why he's an All-American. He is not scared whatsoever. He is actually fearless. You see zero apprehension in his basketball game or his body language right now, and he's doing it in front of 17,000, 18,000 tonight.
Hero down and out. You made a great point earlier. IUP from Indiana, Pennsylvania. They always look to play this type of game. Go to Villanova, go to Syracuse, Michigan State, and play that exhibition game against the Blue Bloods. Kravacevic in traffic underneath. There's Keldon Johnson. What do you like about his game? 7th rated recruit.
Everything. He is lethal when he's in the fast break. I love his versatility. He can handle the basketball. He knocks down the 3. But when I spoke with him earlier, the one thing that he said he wanted to work on was the mid-range jump shot. And that's why I look forward to that Duke Kentucky matchup, right? They got guys 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" that are going to be going head-to-head. These are next-level type guys that you will see playing. And P.J. Washington, I think, has to be the leader in that basketball game. He's the one guy who's been through this before outside of Quade Green and, of course, Reed Travis.
5-star recruit. He's got the 7'3" wingspan. Came back for his sophomore year after averaging about 11 a game. Nick Richards on Diaz.
There's a lot of length out there right now.
Diaz splashes another.
It does not matter to this young man. Playing with so much confidence, and you see why his veteran leadership has them projected to win the league again this year.
Johnson finds Reed Travis. Good look. Already 11 points, 7 boards for Reed Travis. The 5th-year senior, the grad transfer, is going to be most likely a double-double machine for Coach Calipari.
There's no doubt about it.
A left-handed scoop, no.
Well, and that's what Coach Cal loves more than anything, is his ability to clean up the glass.
Blocking foul. The foul goes against Kravacevic. Kentucky tested, but with an 11-point lead.
At Papa John's for the Cats win, you win. Enter promo code CATS45 at PapaJohns.com to get 45% off your regular menu price online order the day after the Cats win. And fans in section 231, row C. You just want a gift card for your favorite Papa John's pizza. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Dari, the monster matchup, number 6 against number 9, but elsewhere on the SEC Network and SEC Network alternate channel tomorrow. South Carolina against Ole Miss gets things started. Then Missouri at number 11, Florida. Tennessee hosts Charlotte. Louisiana Tech and number 18, Mississippi State rounds it out on the SEC Network. Also streaming live on the ESPN app. Florida ranked 11, but sitting behind Kentucky and Georgia in that SEC East.
Well, it's an incredible race in the East, but that team in the West, Mississippi State, one of the most rough and rugged teams that I have seen in a long time. Very physical. Another matchup in the West with Alabama and LSU as well. Ought to be pretty interesting.
This will get some eyeballs, you would think. Number 1 against number 3. This is a monster Saturday around the SEC. Tonight, hoops at Rupp Arena. So the Crimson Hawks from IUP, Division II team that is typically a threat to reach the national championship game, trailing the Wildcats by 11.
Well, and what's interesting here is you see that it's good penetration by Lombardi, and that reminds me of what we saw when UCLA was able to come here with the group of Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox and actually win in Rupp Arena. The reason I bring that up is because at some point again this year, Kentucky's going to have to make a decision how they're going to play ball screens. They have a group of very mobile bigs, but as the talent level continues to improve, you're going to have to fight through those screens, hedge those screens, or do something differently, or else the bigs of Kentucky are going to get exposed by perimeter-oriented guard play.
And one of those bigs in the paint, Nick Richards, he's now a sophomore. He's a totally different player compared to a year ago. Plus, you had Travis.
Right.
Look at where he catches. Deep in the paint, that's easy.
Reminds me of Grant Williams, just a bigger version at Tennessee in the way that he gets his low post presence. All of your good players, Andy Kennedy said this in the blue-white game, all of your quality players, they find their spots on the floor. Reed Travis is a guy who's able to do that for Kentucky as well.
Now, he averaged about 20 a game a year ago at Stanford. May not get that.
Tough shot by Lombardi that time. And you see his father on the sideline kind of putting his hands out. Lombardi talked about coaching his son, and he talked about how the first 2 or 3 years he felt like his son was going to be here forever, but this last year, as he sees it starting to come to a close, he really wanted to enjoy and live in the moment.
Dante, a 1,000-point scorer. And Lombardi pounces on the loose basketball. The run out, Brondwick with the head fake and the score. And a timeout taken by Kentucky with less than 2 minutes left until the break.
Well, again, anytime you have turnovers, it's going to lead to good offense. But Dante Lombardi doing a nice job. The pass is always quicker than the dribble, and a nice job with the big fella running the floor. Outstanding job, but it all starts with what? The turnover by Kentucky. They're going to have to do a better job of taking care of the basketball, in particular in their next game, because Duke is lethal in transition.
Yep. Coach Cal's team ranked preseason number 2. The number 2 ranked recruiting class. It brings back 3 freshmen 5-stars from a year ago. Adds Reed Travis. It seems like there's a bit more experience. And you'd likely think fewer of those type of mistakes this year.
Sure. Well, and they're a team that, because of their trip to the Bahamas, they're light years ahead of a lot of the other teams at this point for Coach Cal. What people have to realize is Coach Cal is the best in the business of taking a seed and growing it into a tree in a year's time period.
Oh, Reed Travis. Coach Cal says he doesn't need much meat. He's a grown man and ready to go.
Different experience. So many quality transfers, not only in the SEC, but across the country this year. It's become part of recruiting.
Up to Brondwick. Still a 10-point game approaching halftime.
Well, and this is just, when you see Reed Travis, look at him, takes a look at the defense, sees if there's any double team going, and this is what I think you're going to see a lot of this year. You're going to have to either double team him or get there a lot quicker. Nice lob upstairs to the top floor. Nice unselfishness displayed by Lombardi as well.
So that's one grad transferred to the other. Travis to Brondwick. He used to play at Siena, so it gives you an idea. That's a Division I program. The type of talent that Lombardi has at IUP. Look at this, year after year after year. Joe Lombardi and company, they had quite a lead against Syracuse early on in that game a couple seasons ago. And these are the type of tests that Lombardi wants his team to take before their season gets going.
Well, he's well respected on all levels, right? And you talk about some of the relationships that he has, a tremendous relationship with Coach Jay Wright, fantastic Hall of Fame coach of Villanova. And he has developed those relationships throughout his career, but he's not satisfied whatsoever. When we saw him at practice yesterday and in the shoot-around, he is still hungry and humble at the same time.
He and Coach Calipari go back quite a ways as well. Those two have a strong relationship, both from Western Pennsylvania. We're coming up as assistants and soon to be head coaches at the same time. Diaz with 13. Quickly into the corner. Travis tries to stretch the floor. Last touch by Richards. Going back to the Crimson Hawks.
Quick shot. So Reed Travis is a guy who can knock down the three-pointer, but he needs time. He rushed that one. He's a guy that needs time to kind of load up his shot, even wind up, if you will. He rushed that one. As a result, a little short. IUP with the chance to cut the lead to 6 or 5.
There's Malik Miller with the crossover. Into the key, and he scores it.
Beautiful.
Ashton Hagens to hero. Steps into the 3 and knocks it down. Strong shot.
That's the biggest problem you have when you face Kentucky. They don't only have depth, but they have quality depth. Similar to some of your Arkansas teams or West Virginia. I think they can come at you in waves. I think they'll be too deep at every position this year.
IUP pushing Kentucky in the first half. The second-ranked Wildcats hold a 9-point lead over the Crimson Hawks. And welcome to Lexington Reed Travis, 15-8 to the first half. Let's go to the studio. Dari Noka in the SEC studio right now.
Officially licensed Kentucky Nike apparel at the new campus bookstore or one of the team shops located on the concourse. You can also order online at shopukgear.com.
All right, Big Blue Nation, you know we gotta play some basketball, get away some good stuff. So we're gonna do our Care Source Sweet Spot shooting contest. Maria, who we have with us?
All right, we have Mr. Kyle Moore, and y'all, Kyle Moore is a very special member of Michigan. He got up at 3 a.m. to get here to drive for Michigan.
I'm gonna hold it with my right hand. I'm gonna hold on to this rail. Yeah. 3, 2, 1. All right.
Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Presented by 98.1 Gold, produced by Outback Concerts.
And here's tonight's UPS delivery of the game.
For Kentucky leads with Washington. Numbers right hand to Higgins coming to the top of the circle. Now far right side to Strokes. Drops it down inside to Washington, who goes in low and puts it up and in off the glass.
You know, there's a reason why the Kentucky Wildcats have only had 8 losses since Coach Cal's been here. It's because a lot of people believe this is the best fan base in the country. That's right, 24,000. And not everybody has seats down there on the floor. That's right, a lot of the real fans are right up here around me, and they are just as loud as anywhere else in the country. Coach Cal said he looks at section 238. That's how he knows if the section is full or not. Just so you see, the national championships, the Final Four, they all start with these fans right up here at Rupp Arena. Will that take? That's the truth. You good? You doing it again? All right, we're doing it one more time. Y'all make it. You know, a lot of people wonder, how in the world Rupp Arena only has 8 losses since Coach Cal's been here? They're also wondering, where do the Final Fours come from? Not everybody's sitting down there on the floor. That's right. A lot of the best fans of Rupp Arena are right up here, section 241. And that's why Rupp Arena and Big Blue Nation consider themselves the best fans in college basketball. Surely it'll work. You know, there's a reason why the Kentucky Wildcats have only had 8 losses since Coach Cal. Lord, right here. 3rd time charm. All right, right here. All right. So when you look at the numbers, 24,000 night in and night out in Rupp Arena. Only 8 losses since Coach Cal has been here. Not all of the fans are way down there on the floor. A lot of the best fans are right up here in the rafters supporting Big Blue Nation. Coach Cal said he looks at section 238 to see if it's full. And you know what? These fans up here believe they're the best fans in college basketball. So when you look at the numbers, 24,000 night in and night out in Rupp Arena. Only 8 losses since Coach Cal has been here. Not all of the fans are way down there on the floor. A lot of the best fans are right up here in the rafters supporting Big Blue Nation. Coach Cal said he looks at section 238 to see if it's full. And you know what? These fans up here believe they're the best fans in college basketball.
The Kentucky Wildcats hosting IUP in its final exhibition game, holding a 9-point advantage over the Crimson Hawks inside Rupp Arena. And with the former Auburn star, Damian Fishback, Kevin Fitzgerald with you. Reed Travis, he's the graduate transfer from Stanford. There's a reason he came here to get better. He was the star in the first half for the Wildcats.
Yeah, the 2-time All-Pac-12 player looked like that this year. The way he dominated the interior is what was most impressive to me, but it's the combination of the two, right? It's Reed Travis and Tyler Hero. It's that combination is the reason why we feel like this team could make a run to the Final Four.
Oh, when Reed Travis can stretch the floor like this, it's going to make quite the impact.
Well, he is a below-the-rim player, but he's so physical. I think it was within about 10 minutes of practice yesterday that he accidentally bust Quade Green's lip. But then here's the freshman side, right? Tyler Hero. It could be Tyler Hero tonight. It could be Keldon Johnson tomorrow. But I think Hero will be the most prolific shooter and scorer of this team. All of these freshmen have an incredible upside. And then you see the points in the paint. This is where IUP has impressed me the most. They have not backed down whatsoever, and they made enough threes to stay in this basketball game.
On the other side as well, Kentucky's shooting much better than in its first exhibition game a week ago.
Sure.
From the field and behind the arc as well.
Well, that's why this Kentucky team is only going to get better, right? What do young people struggle with the most when they come to the college ranks? And look at Reed Travis right there leading that team. They struggle defensively. Coach Cal talked about it in practice yesterday in our shoot-around. He wants to stop the straight-line drives. They have rim protection on this Kentucky team, but they have to stop the ball better. We'll see if they make improvements in the second half.
IUP, remember, according to the coaches poll at the Division II level, ranked 8th in the country. They are a perennial power that appears in the top 25. How about the extra pass to Armani Foster? He lost it on the way in, bailed out by a whistle.
He lost it, but right now, Coach Lombardi is giving the recipe of how teams are going to attack Kentucky. Because Kentucky has such good length, right? Over 2,000, I think, block shots since Coach Cal's been here. They've been tops amongst the country every year. They're penetrating to pass, and Kentucky's going to have to deal with that.
There's Lombardi off the set.
Just no communication on that handoff. You have to play a handoff just like a ball screen.
To your prior point, you expect Kentucky to see quite a bit of that this year. Remember Duke to open up the year on Tuesday. P.J. Washington with the two-handed jam.
Nice penetration and unselfishness displayed by this Kentucky team, though. Defensively is where they're going to have to make their improvements, but IUP is a quality basketball team on this offensive end.
Diaz blocked from behind. That's Washington soaring with them.
And here it is. You see right there, Ashton Hagans, he was on the ball and got caught up with his own man, he and P.J. Washington, and look at IUP on the sideline, relishing and enjoying this moment. You'd love to see that from their team.
A bunch of returners, 3 starters, seniors I should say, in the starting lineup for Joe Lombardi, who, remember, was an assistant under Jamie Dixon at Pitt a number of years ago. He says, I took his detail-oriented approach with me. Brondwick, the Dutchman, jarred away by Hagans. He will do plenty of that this year. Create some turnovers. Rebound down to Hero. Hagans running to Keldon Johnson. He's the freshman from Maryland. There's a whistle. So not just Brondwick from the Netherlands, a few other players are international players for the Crimson Hawks. You have Marko Kravacevic. We've already highlighted Kobo Diaz, Drew Doncic. So a pair of Hungarians, a Spaniard, a Dutchman.
And that's what's most impressive about the job that Lombardi's done. He has been willing to go any and everywhere. And as he said to us earlier, he could not do that without the help of the community, allowing him to fundraise and communicate to different people that he's able to bring those type of guys to their university.
He has turned this program into a winner year in and year out, always appearing in the top 25 preseason and typically at the end of the year as well. IUP went to the national title game as recently as 2015. Well, they broke the press. Diaz, though, took an extra step before putting it down. And an assistant on Lombardi's staff is a former SEC player of his own, Alan Payne.
Alan Payne is a first-class young man, and you see him there when he played from 2010 to 2014. So excited that that young man is able to get into the coaching ranks, and what a better opportunity than coach under the likes of Coach Lombardi.
He spent a couple years under Chris Mack at Xavier, and then hired last year by Lombardi, his second season as an assistant.
I'm anxious to see Coach Chris Mack and the job that he's going to do at Louisville. I think that rivalry will continue to be ignited. I know Coach Pitino's gone, but Louisville, Kentucky will be there forever. And you saw the type of rivalry that was there between Xavier and Cincinnati when Coach Mack was there between him and Coach McCronin. So I'm anxious to see how it picks up with him at Louisville now.
We'll find out December 29th when Kentucky heads to Louisville. Third foul on Armani Foster, the redshirt freshman from Meadville, Pennsylvania. And a turnover created by Dante Lombardi. IUP has not been afraid to push, and Malik Miller at the rim.
Yeah, a great job of Miller getting out in transition, and something that I'm sure Kentucky will want to work on is changing ends, going from offense to defense. Correct call that time, too, offensive foul. Kevin, this is what I'm talking about. So as soon as this turnover, there has to be a dead sprint and more communication. That time, Hagens was guarding 2 men. No one stopped the basketball, and by the time that it got to Reed Travis, it was much too late. I'm telling you, if that happens against the Duke Blue Devils, it will get ugly very quickly when you see a guy like Trey Jones coming at you, right? The younger brother of Tyus Jones. They are going to get out and be extremely fast in the offensive transition.
You got players like Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett to dish it off to.
The good news is, after the first scrimmage right against Transylvania, wasn't very close. This is something that they'll be able to learn from on the tape, and this is good to see them compete.
Brondwick off the backboard. He caught that, couldn't finish, right at the rim. Now it's Kentucky to run. Oh! Washington!
Nice action.
P.J. Washington, welcome back to Lexington. Of course, entered his name into the NBA draft. He pulled it out just before the deadline, and now back as a sophomore at Lexington. Hero's been everywhere on both sides of the floor. That one just rolls right off his leg and out of bounds. So IUP gets another chance.
Well, and this is where I think Kentucky can be. You think about guys that are versatile. Coach talks about positionless basketball. That's where you can see guys like Johnson, Hero, and Washington all play well together.
Another 3 for IUP. Miller has this back to a 5-point game.
You talked about him, right? 10-plus points off of the bench last year. This team has been fearless. The fans of Rupp Arena have not disrupted their flow.
Travis, a rebound and a basket.
I think we're going to change his name to Reed the Rock Travis. Built like the Rock, plays like the Rock.
Double-double. Lombardi, fearless, the leader in the paint.
Like that, with the left. What you have to wonder if you're IUP is how long you can keep this up. Right now, the pace is starting to speed up a little bit.
IUP trying to climb this difficult task. Maybe take down Kentucky today. Damian Fishback, he's climbing to the top of Rupp Arena, going where not many have gone before.
Big Blue Nation, we care about all our teams here at the University of Kentucky. Right now, our men's soccer team is on the pitch playing for a Conference USA title. They lead Old Dominion 2-0 at halftime.
So when you look at the numbers, 24,000 night in and night out in Rupp Arena. Only 8 losses since Coach Cal has been here. Not all of the fans are way down there on the floor. A lot of the best fans are right up here in the rafters supporting Big Blue Nation. Coach Cal said he looks at section 238 to see if it's full. And you know what? These fans up here believe they're the best fans in college basketball. So when you look at the numbers, 24,000 night in and night out in Rupp Arena. Only 8 losses since Coach Cal has been here. Not all of the fans are way down there on the floor. A lot of the best fans are right up here in the rafters supporting Big Blue Nation. Coach Cal said he looks at section 238 to see if it's full. And you know what? These fans up here believe they're the best fans in college basketball.
afraid of heights.
You know what? I'm afraid to go back up there. I was drenched in sweat. It is much further, right? This bottled water is what I need right now.
But you're right. Under Coach Calipari, Kentucky 150-8. They're winning 95% of the time in Rupp Arena, and they've always been historically good here. It's one of the best home courts, if not the best home court advantage in all of college basketball. And for an exhibition game, this place is packed out.
Well, what impresses me the most, Kevin, is the fact that when you go around the country, right, there's great arenas, right? You go play at Duke and Cameron and even Auburn in the SEC right now, they continue to pick up their fan base. You can go all through the country. But the fact that they have 24,000, right, that you have fans like that up in the rafters. You got places like Syracuse and Villanova, but consistently, night in and night out, Kentucky is one of the best in the nation.
What was going through your mind when you would walk through these doors and play here when you were at Auburn?
Well, it's actually twofold, right? Obviously, being from Kentucky, you have butterflies because you want to come back and play well in front of your home crowd, but it's certainly intimidating the first time. We only played here twice, so the second time went a little bit better, but it's a challenging place to play, and when they really get on their feet and get loud, then it becomes even more difficult, because when they get loud, this arena really becomes a big challenge.
This goes back to Kentucky. All right, so how is IUP only down 7 in this arena?
A couple of reasons. Number one, they're doing an outstanding job of taking care of the basketball. Only 5 turnovers in this basketball game, as well as doing a nice job of knocking it down from behind the three-point line. 7 of 19 from behind the three-point line, as well as not just completely getting dominated on the glass, right? Kentucky dominated the glass 62 to, I think, 20-something in their previous game against Transylvania. Doing a much better job, IUP.
Blocking foul. So it's Kentucky basketball. Next Friday, the Wildcats hosting Southern Illinois. That's right here on the SEC Network, starting at 7 Eastern time. Then a top 25 battle at Auburn Arena. Number 25 Washington against number 11 Auburn. And you could make the case the Tigers maybe have the best backcourt in the SEC, one of with Jared Harper and Bryce Brown, 2 all-conference selections.
Well, Coach Bruce Pearl says the chip is still on the shoulder. You know, a lot of those guys feel like they have unfinished business. Now, I don't know if Anthony McLemore is going to come back like a lot of other people off of injuries, but he looks healthy. He looks explosive. You think about guys like Austin Wiley and Danjel Purefoy that didn't get to play last year, as well as the returning guys. They'll play with the chip on their shoulder, and they will be tested by Coach Hopkins in Washington, a veteran basketball player, or veteran basketball team that returns quite a bit of production.
Auburn, of course, won a share of the SEC title a year ago. Quickly to Richards. Throw it anywhere when Nick Richards is soaring at the basket. That 7'6" wingspan's going to nab it. He's going to throw it down.
Well, I think he's critical. Nick Richards brings a certain amount of length and athleticism for this Kentucky team. You know, Reed Travis is so important, but as we said, he plays below the rim. You know, Nick Richards reminds me a little bit of Kyle Anderson of Tennessee. A lot of people talk about that loss to Loyola in the bounce, but Kyle wasn't in that basketball game for Tennessee. 6'11", good length, block shots, offensive rebounding. When you get past the Sweet 16 and into the Elite 8, you need guys that can play above the rim. Nick Richards is one of those guys for Kentucky.
There's a whistle inside. Kentucky will take it underneath, or pardon, IUP underneath the basket. And remember those Kentucky teams that made deep tournament runs under Coach Cal. They had the rim protector like Richards. They had Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis. Those were keys.
And I think Kyle Alexander for Tennessee will be a silent assassin on the other co-champs, right, from the SEC last year.
Malik Miller with a pair of triples. Tennessee and Auburn. Ranked inside the top 15 to begin the year by the AP. 5 SEC teams in total ranked to start the year. Lombardi plays with quite a bit of confidence. Miller a little too far that time. Nice feed. Shot rejected away. There's Washington again. He swatted a couple.
But that all started from a nice shot fake, right? So if you're Keldon Johnson, you have to learn to use your size and length, and you can't bite on that pump fake. Malik Miller, we talked about it, a veteran. 6'4", 185 pounds, just playing like an experienced player right now.
Johnson guarding, and the shot clock was approaching all zeros. That's a violation.
Sure. Well, with the length on this basketball team for Kentucky, I think you'll see a lot more of that. Now, Coach Joe Lombardi he's so detail-oriented. He is surgical with every move that he makes, how he sets their screen, whether it's a back screen or whether it's a flare screen. He sets it up and makes sure the spacing is just right. And so this Kentucky team, to get a shot clock violation, is very good.
IUP creates the 11th Kentucky turnover tonight. Crowd was calling for a travel. Kovacevic with the touch, rebound to Washington. Kentucky on the move. Quickly the freshman. He had Lombardi in the air, backs it out. Here's Hero. Washington twisting in. Count the bucket. He's at the line for one more.
Another leader, another veteran on this basketball team. Remember how he finished against Kansas State, even in the loss last year in that Sweet 16 matchup. But he played one of his better games outside of missing the free throws. He, along with Reed Travis, will have to display the leadership. Again, it's the combination of the recruiting class along with the veteran players. Their version of the Terrence Jones and the Darius Millers and the Ron Lambs. That's what P.J. Washington, Reed Travis, and Quade Green will have to be for this team.
Washington even said that he came back to grow as a leader. What have you made of his demeanor, the way he's looked in practice the last couple of days?
I love it. The difference between amateurs and professionals is how they carry themselves every time they're in between the lines. And with Reed Travis, he carries himself as a professional. He does not take days off. That's something that the young players will have to learn quickly, and they'll be able to learn that by emulating what Reed Travis does.
We haven't talked much about Quade Green. He's up on the ball. Now to Lombardi. Foul on Nick Richards as Braunwick was coming to set the screen. So that's his second.
The one thing that IUP has done tonight is they've never allowed Kentucky to get comfortable. And one thing that I've seen, even in the Bahamas, they were challenged, but they were still fairly comfortable. Again, even in the exhibition game. This is good for this Wildcat team to see how they respond to adversity. That's why you see Coach Cal up on the sideline right now. He knows this is good for his basketball team.
That could be the second straight foul on Richards, and if it is, that's his third. IUP hanging around Coach Cal's team at its final exhibition. Up
Here we go.
Today, the final tune-up for Kentucky before the regular season begins. A little earlier this year, and look who's waiting. It's a top-5 battle, Kentucky and Duke on Tuesday.
Well, we know there's a lot of good football still left to be played, but come on. You have to watch this game. This is Duke versus Kentucky. Cal versus Coach K. The Blue Devils versus Big Blue Nation.
Over the years, it's been quite the battle. Remember, Kentucky, they clipped Duke. This was the championship game in 1978. That was the 5th title. And then, look away, Kentucky fans, in 1992, Christian Laettner, the shot after the stomp. A few years later, Kentucky and Cameron Mills, they get Duke back in an Elite 8 battle. 2012, this was the first meeting of the two in the Champions Classic. Duke won that. Then Scott Labissiere and company won it 3 years ago. So this will be the 3rd battle between Kentucky and Duke in the Champions Classic. I love the Champions Classic.
Oh, are you kidding me? Listen, the Blue Bloods' finest, and obviously you don't include a team like Villanova, and there's other terrific teams out there, but when you go Michigan State, Kansas, Duke, and Kentucky, you cannot go wrong. And it's so early in the season. What I love about it is you see where those teams are early, and then you get a chance to see how they grow and mature throughout the year. And that's something that I don't know if there's anyone better in this business at doing than Coach Cal.
Yep. Typically, those 4 teams would have a game or two in the regular season to warm up, but right out of the gates, first matchup of the year. And we discussed this earlier. Remember, plenty of freshmen, plenty of talented freshmen in that game. Duke, the top-rated recruiting class. Kentucky right behind, number 2 rated.
IUP right now says, forget about Duke, you better worry about us right now. Still hanging on by a thread, and just really doesn't look like they're going anywhere anytime soon.
Joe Lombardi, he's got his starters, of course, out there. He's going with the rotation. Of course, his role is to push Kentucky as well.
Well, this is very intriguing to me. You know, you remember when Coach Krzyzewski went 40 minutes of zone for the first time, and I think shocked all of us when they knocked off Michigan State in the Champions Classic. Coach Lombardi here is really playing a nice gap defense. So he's trying to make Kentucky settle and beat them from the perimeter. He knows Kentucky has a huge size advantage. Anytime it goes inside, they're doubling, and then they're not even going out to really contest the shooters. And until Kentucky knocks down those 3-point shots, IUP is going to be right here.
Coach Lombardi wants Kentucky to beat him from the outside. Jacobo Diaz from Spain, Cobo for short, All-American, with a pair of free throws. He's got more than 1,000 points.
Well, he's so efficient, right? Shoots 73+% from the free throw line, 43% from the 3-point line. He just hits you at all levels.
There's Hero driving it, so he does beat IUP, slashing in.
He's really showing every part of his basketball game, from the three-pointer to the penetration. He's distributing the basketball as well.
Seven on the shot clock. Miller between the legs a few times. Lets it go with the shot clock dwindling down. Green's pass out of bounds. Wildcats keep it in the front court.
The one thing that you notice, though, even though the Cats are still young and they're still learning, a lot of young players in high school, they hold the ball for a very long time because they're so used to them being the only one that can manufacture points. This Kentucky team actually moves the basketball well. They pop. Now, IUP does it as well, but they're a veteran team. You expect them to do that, something that I'm impressed with early from Kentucky.
Travis back to Tyler Hero. E.J. Montgomery, he guards Diaz, and he jars it away. Here's Quickly. Lombardi with the good sleight of hand on both ends of the floor. Kentucky inbounds underneath the hoop.
Very good hands, and E.J. Montgomery showing me something in this basketball game. We talked about his versatility earlier. He does a nice job, and look at Lombardi showing good hands. That was all basketball.
Right at the rim, and Kentucky can't convert. IUP trying to get it back to single digits. And Montgomery holds Diaz. That's the whistle. After today's game, the SEC Now team will be back. Plenty to preview about this weekend's game. Games and factors, of course, 2 top 10 matchups in the SEC. One decides the SEC East. No one covers the SEC like we do. You can also see it streaming live on the ESPN app. That was fun. We had Marcus Spears and Laura Rutledge from SEC Nation with us earlier today.
That's right.
How about Marcus Spears out at half court earlier in the first half? And the crowd going. He says the SEC East potentially runs through Lexington. We're going to find out tomorrow. Georgia is here.
Got Rupp Arena to give him a standing ovation. I really like Diaz's game. You can see how he's continued to not only mature, but get better every single year that he's played.
As Washington, his game has improved as well.
You got to like to see that if you're Coach Cal. P.J. Washington has slimmed down, right? He's thinner, he's more mobile, he's solid. But remember last year, his bread and butter was in that paint area, so it's very important for him not to fall in love with a three-point shot.
Might have a little chip on the shoulder. He comes back for his sophomore season. Former 5-star. Right at the deadline announced he's going to take his name out of the NBA draft pool. Here is the senior, Willem Brondweck.
Will Brondweck has had an outstanding basketball game. I think he's a great matchup for Reed Travis, both physically and skill-wise.
There's Travis fouled just underneath the rim.
Well, here's the pick and roll, right? Old school, got 2 men on the basketball. Brondweck gets over there too late, and P.J. Washington, one of the better finishers on this Kentucky team.
Of all places, P.J. Washington was born in Louisville. Now he's wearing the Kentucky jersey.
One thing about Coach Cal and any of the teams, right? We talked about their matchup with Duke. If you're getting a top 1 or 2 recruiting class, that means you're going anywhere to get them, right? You're going to Wisconsin and getting you a Tyler Hero. You're going into Georgia, which is, I think, the mecca of the South when it comes to basketball now. You're going anywhere that the talent is. And when you talk to the coaching staff, Coach Tony Barbie and Coach Kenny Payne, we spoke with both of them at the practice. That's all they're talking about now, recruiting for next year.
Yep. Already a couple 5-star commits for Kentucky. We always ask that, all right, who's the freshman? Who's the new guy? The new guy is 22, Reed Travis. He has the double-double today, just at the free throw line a few moments ago. Dante Lombardi. Sweet head fake in the finish.
Stunning like his daddy. Pops has to love that one now. In Rupp Arena.
Hero, no. Lombardi was battling for the defensive board. Travis eventually got it out of bounds. It stays here. Dante Lombardi saying, let me show the Rupp crowd.
Yeah.
I've got.
Iceman. You know what that is, Kevin. That's the finger roll. Woo, I like that, Lombardi.
Always fresh, never frozen. Stop by Cookout after the game for a fresh hamburger, drink, and a hand-spun milkshake.
And here are your 23-time national champions, UK cheerleaders, presented by Suntan Civic.
Get it to me.
Damian Fishback, you've done your homework on this Kentucky team. What do you see?
Yeah, with all the volatility in the market, why not assess the Big Blue Nation balance sheet of this Wildcats? The assets, proven coaching staff. They have experience this year with those three guys back. Shooting, rebounding, rim protection on the defensive end, unselfish depth, competitive spirit and versatility. The liabilities, no alpha dog yet, right? Who's the De'Aaron Fox, the Malik Monk, the John Wall? Unproven point guard play. They work well together, but we don't know what they can do for sure. Tough schedule, uncharted waters. No one on this team passed the Sweet 16 yet. What does that say for the net worth? I think it's Final Four. I think Kentucky gets to the Final Four. We'll see them continue to mature and get better as the season goes. Whether they get a championship, that's yet to be seen.
Damian Fishback, the money man, investing perhaps in the Wildcats.
Oh, I'd buy their stock.
No question, Final Four talent. Quad A Green, one of the three that returned from a year ago. Here's Diaz in double figures, fading away, and Washington wipes it away. Miller into the paint. And here's the second offensive rebound on this end of the floor.
So much that they'll be able to learn from this tape. We talked about rebounding and defense being an asset for them. That's something that I feel like will be an asset. They still have a long ways to go as of now, and I think it's because they've been so comfortable they're playing to the level of their competition.
Broadway couldn't convert at the rim. This is the 8th ranked team at the Division II level. A stout team year in and year out under Joe Lombardi, IUP from Indiana, Pennsylvania. Trailing Kentucky by just single digits. Not anymore, Quad A Green.
Outstanding pass that time by Tyler Hero, having one of his better games since he's been in a Kentucky uniform. Not only ability to score the basketball, but displaying his ability to distribute the basketball as well.
You like the depth. There's depth at every position, it seems, this year for Kentucky.
Well, and they bring different capabilities to the table. Tyler Hero's different from Keldon Johnson. He's different from P.J. Washington. He's different from Reed Travis.
Miller leaves it way short. Washington saves it on the baseline.
Good pass.
Travis is open. Foul underneath, and Foster whistled for the reach.
And this is what I mean when I say unselfishness is one of their assets. Now, this is good execution. He draws, drives, and then dishes. And Quade Green, we know that he has an ability to score the basketball, right? More of a scoring guard, even though he's a little smaller. I love the way he plays with the chip on his shoulder. I think he's a leader on this team and displays a lot of toughness that this Wildcat team needs.
Brings that Philadelphia toughness to Lexington. You referenced the Bahamas trip. Kentucky went down to the Atlantis Resort, played 4 professional teams. Quade Green has a rough first game. Where do the coaches find him at midnight that evening? He's in the gym.
With the security, right? Just he and the security, getting up shots. And after he started out 1 of 11, I think he went, what, 14 of his next 19 or something like that? If you're missing shots, if something's not right for any young player out there, get in the gym and get it back.
The effort was there, but the foul, though, goes against Kentucky.
You see Kentucky has pressed a little bit tonight. They played straight up man a little bit. But that's one of the things that Coach Cal has to do. Coach K's having to do it at Duke this year. Will Wade will have to do it at LSU. Mike Anderson with his recruiting class. And they are going to have to figure out how to play with this young group. When you have guys coming back like Mississippi State has in the SEC, or Florida has a lot of returning starters, Auburn does as well, you kind of know which direction you're going to go. But when you have a new nucleus of people, every game is a game to figure out the pros and cons of your basketball team. What do they do well? What do they struggle at? That's what Coach Cal is trying to find out now. Right now, Kevin, this game trajectory has changed. We saw earlier the Kentucky Wildcats were shooting all three-point shots to a certain extent, and we know that they can shoot it better. As the game has gotten tighter, you've seen Coach Cal calling from the sideline to take the basketball inside. Again, even though they shoot the basketball a lot better, they want to take the basketball to the rim. Yeah.
Kentucky perfect from the stripe today.
I think he worked on those free throws after that Kansas State game last year. You love to see the guys work on their game and come back from the offseason and do the things that they maybe struggled at from time to time so much better.
PJ Washington played on a Kentucky team last year that had freshman log more minutes than any other John Calipari coach team. And like you said, still made the Sweet 16. Dante Lombardi, Nick Richards tangled up on the baseline. So Richards and Lombardi. Well, his right arm, the left leg. Some contact.
Sure. Well, frankly, so when Nick Richards actually came down, he accidentally probably stepped on his arm a little bit. And so from a player's standpoint, the first thing that happens is, if you're Dante Lombardi, you're frustrated that you turned over the basketball. To compound that, Nick Richards, who's the big guy, accidentally steps on your arm. And then his arm actually is kind of tangled up, and it looks like he kind of grabs a little bit, but then he kind of pulls his arm away.
Yeah. Certainly looks like nothing intentional from Richards. Our officials are over at the monitor. Just to review.
No, Nick Richards is just trying not to fall, and then he's trying to get loose, and then he's frustrated and feels like Lombardi's got his arm tangled up, and he kind of keeps it tangled up a little bit longer than Nick Richards is comfortable with. And if you're a viewer watching this at home, from that angle, it maybe looks like Nick Richards is doing something, but he definitely was not. He was just trying to get his leg going and start moving. And quite frankly, I think for Dante Lombardi, his arm was caught there. He was a little frustrated, held it for a second, and then pulled his arm away.
Right. Brian Shea, Steven Anderson, Vladimir Voyard-Tidal get together. Back to the monitor for a second look.
Here it is. Here's a higher look for us. So he goes down. Nick Richards actually accidentally stepped on his arm. He's trying to start going, and he's just trying to untangle himself.
Right. So Vladimir Voyard-Tidal just informed you what the ruling is.
Sure, and I think it's the correct call. I don't think it was excessive. I don't think that he was intentionally trying to hurt Nick Richards. As a basketball player, in the heated moment, you get frustrated. And so that's the mindset that happened for Dante Lombardi. He goes, he turns it over, he gets his hand, his arm stepped on, his arm's kind of tangled up. He doesn't do anything, no ill intent there, and he moves his arm away.
So 2 free throws for Nick Richards. Kentucky's lead to 15. IUP, the Crimson Hawks, were within 5 a couple times in this second half. Kentucky applying the pressure in the backcourt. A Wildcats team that gets ready for 4th-ranked Duke on Tuesday. First game of the year. It's the Champions Classic from Bankers Life Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. Keldon Johnson, who plays with so much courage and intensity, whistled for the foul.
Sure. Well, and when we asked him what Kentucky players that he really liked to watch, he mentioned John Wall, he mentioned Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Anthony Davis. There's a plethora to choose from, right? Coach Cal, I think it's the collection of players since he's been here have accumulated $1.5 billion. And so for Kentucky fans, the national championships are so important, and I know they want to hang banners. But when you think about the lives that Kentucky has had an impact on, that's got to be something that you put your shoulders up and you hold your head high up about as well.
PJ Washington gets the leaner. And the foul as well.
Well, this is just tough stuff, right? Nice floater. That's the difference in his basketball game. He slimmed down. Could he have made that move last year? Probably so, but he just seems so much more comfortable. And I think that's something that probably gets lost a little bit at Kentucky because they have a lot of guys that are one and done, or maybe some guys that's transferred from time to time. But this staff does an outstanding job of really developing their players, not just in one year, but the guys that return, they do get better.
So the basket counts for Washington. A foul underneath on Brondwick while that ball was stuck on the rim. Keldon Johnson drew the foul, so he's at the line for 2 free throws. Kentucky's in the double bonus.
Well, there's 4:53 left to go in this basketball game, and it's possible that it can get away from IUP, but they can feel very comfortable knowing that they played Kentucky extremely well for about 33, 34 minutes.
And now the largest lead for the Wildcats.
And this is where that quality depth that we were talking about earlier, Kevin, comes into play.
Sooner or later, that opponent is worn down. basketball is free. A foul on Keldon Johnson. That's his fourth. The offensive player has that cylinder.
That's correct. Brian Shea was right there on the basketball call. Right. Freedom of movement, and he threw Dante Lombardi off of his mark, and that's correct. He broke his cylinder. Brian Shea, veteran official, correct on the call. I think Kentucky fans were upset about the call, but also upset because they felt like the previous play that there was a travel.
Keldon Johnson, the 7th rated recruit in the class of 2018 from Virginia, carries himself unlike many freshmen do. He has a professional quality to him already.
Dante Lombardi carrying himself as a professional tonight as well. I'm very impressed. Coach's son, high basketball IQ, has played an outstanding game thus far. See how they're digging down on the basketball? They're going to make Kentucky beat them from the perimeter.
Travis off the mark. Miller into the paint. He's at the line for a pair of free throws when we return. Recruiting so important. Damian, you were talking about it before. We're going to go inside the Marksberry Player First Suite when we return. Pull up a chair, get comfortable.
Like blotting out this background information.
Go back here to our Kentucky's final exhibition before the regular season begins next week. A 17-point advantage over the Division II power, IUP from Indiana, Pennsylvania. Well, Fish, we spent some time at the Joe Craft Center, Kentucky's practice facility the last couple days. It's not just where Kentucky gets ready day in and day out. It's also an homage, right? The 35 players drafted since John Calipari was named head coach.
Well, if you're getting recruiting to the University of Kentucky, then you think about, well, if all of these guys had a chance, then why don't I have a chance? And you see where they renovated the facilities, did an outstanding job here as well.
The Marksberry Player First Suite. That's the place where you want to have your face tattooed on. You've got the whirlpools, you have the locker room that has been, like you said, renovated, upgraded, attached to the Joe Craft Center. Eric Lindsay, the All-American Sports Information Director, showing us the touch screen. You want to see some highlights about national championships or first-round draft choices? When you walk into that place, it's right there. It's right at the touch of your finger. That's it.
Well, they gave us tremendous access. Debbie Moore, Eric Lindsay, two of the better SIDs in the nation, do a great job here. They're kind of behind the scenes, but the way that they have renovated and they keep continuing to try to be the gold standard is what Coach Cal wants, and you've seen that throughout the Southeastern Conference at multiple schools, which is why you've seen the elevation and the success of this league.
It's a really inviting locker room, too. It's fraternal. It's a place for the players to spend some time, grab a nap, get ready for practice.
Sure.
One of those freshmen, Emmanuel, quickly with the finger roll, gets his own rebounds. And there's Travis already with a double-double today.
You notice that when you look in those white jerseys, how fresh they look. Now, I don't think he's going to run a platoon system, but I think he's going to have to figure out the rotation on this basketball team, because he talked about if he had not played the platoon system, Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, they were kind of on the back burner, right, of that group. Look at those guys now. I think it's similar in the fact that you have so many guys that can play. You have to try to let them touch the floor. So figuring out how they're going to rotate their guys will be intriguing this year.
These two exhibition games, John Calipari, he's gone with 4 different starting lineups for each half. I'm glad you referenced the 2015 team that started 38-0. We've highlighted Quade Green and Nick Richards, P.J. Washington. The last time Coach Calipari has had this much returning, scoring minutes, so on and so forth. Last time he had this much was the 2014-15 team.
That's right.
National semifinals.
And that's why expectations are skyrocketing, as usual, here in Lexington, Kentucky.
You know, it's a great phrase. You know you're a dominant program is the line of a 3-year Final Four hiatus. Not an NCAA Final Four hiatus. That has been thrown around quite a bit. You know you are a dominant program. Joe Lombardi knows that.
Well, he's done an outstanding job of building a culture at IUP as well. You saw he was looking at his son there saying, you know, where's your head at? Look up at the clock. He enjoys coaching his son, and Coach Calipari does as well. We have not seen his son get in tonight, but I love the way his son, Brad Calipari, has improved his basketball game. I think, if not the best, one of the best shooters on the team. Displays so much humility as a hard worker, and it exemplifies his family and what his father expects out of him.
Travis tied up underneath, and a foul on IUP with 2:29 left. So Drew Doncic, the freshman from Hungary, whistled for his first foul. Reed Travis at the line.
Travis at the line.
Well, we saw Kentucky at a point tonight, right, be challenged, face some adversity. And the name and the first team All-SEC projected Reed Travis was the guy who really stepped up to the forefront, along with Tyler Hero. And that's why I think this combination is dangerous, because out of that recruiting class, they're versatile enough to have someone different step up. But you see Hero on the offensive rebound there.
Richards almost stuffed his miss back. Ashton Hagans, he jarred it loose, and he was pulled down by Miller. Well, there's a technical foul assessed to Malik Miller as well.
Frustration, right? And I think, I'm not certain it was right in front of us, but I know there was some dialogue between the two of them. Ashton Hagans is a guy who plays with an edge, right? He enjoys going after and finding the weak spot of competitors, and I don't think he said anything. I think that was more on Miller, who kind of stepped into his body, unless we missed some conversation by Ashton Hagans that time.
Yep.
But Ashton Hagans is that type of player. I can't wait to see him match up against Trey Jones of Duke, because he's going to test your crossover, your inside out, your ball handling ability. That's what he thrives on. That's what he looks forward to anytime he steps in between the lines.
So Joe Lombardi composes his team. Hagans has been described as that pit bull. And he was probably the best player coming out of Georgia as a senior. Not only Mr. Basketball in the state, but the state's Gatorade Player of the Year. the best on-ball defender we expect on this Kentucky roster this year.
Right, and so the question that remains for Kentucky is their guard play good enough? So the question is going to be, since they don't have a John Wall yet, they don't have a De'Aaron Fox yet, right? Triple-double. How well is he playing? Can the mixture of Quade Green, Ashton Hagans, along with Emmanuel Quickly, can those three together get it done? That's a question that will have to be answered as the year goes on.
We've seen them push each other the last couple days. Travis stretching from beyond the arc. Richard stuffs it in.
Different player. Kentucky fans love it. You have to play the Kentucky Wildcats for 40 minutes. IUP did an extremely good job early, but around the probably, I guess, 11, 12 minute mark, they started to fade just a little bit.
What'd you see from Kentucky at that point?
Well, they've stepped it up defensively. You know, they come at you in waves. There's Tyler Hero again, right? You just don't get a possession off. And as they learn to play together, as they continue to form their chemistry, as they figure out what the coaching staff expects from them and vice versa, then we're going to see a lot better Kentucky Wildcat team as the year goes on.
17 points for Hero. Kentucky in control with 1:21 left. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, the SEC Nation traveling pregame show. It's Laura, Marcus, Paul, Tim, Lauren, right here in Lexington. The SEC East will be decided tomorrow. Number 6, Georgia. Number 9, Kentucky. And they're going to break it all down for us, getting us ready for that game that kicks off at 3:30 Eastern time. SEC Nation presented by Pilot Flying J right here on the SEC Network, also streaming live on the ESPN app.
What a crew and what a mix that will be. A lot of excitement here in Lexington, Kentucky.
Have you given us your prediction yet for that game?
I will give it to you before the end of this game.
Stay tuned, folks. Georgia and Kentucky both sitting at 7-1. The winner tomorrow wins the SEC East. And that means an appearance in the SEC title game. Dante Lombardi, that is a senior that is going to pilot and guide this team perhaps to another deep NCAA tournament run at the Division II level for the Crimson Hawks. Nick Richards swung his arm underneath, so he's whistled for the offensive foul. SEC Now with Dari and Chris coming up when we finish up inside Rupp Arena. And Kentucky is going to be back here against Southern Illinois. That's next Friday. First, on Tuesday, it's going to open up the season against 4th-ranked Duke. So that Champions Classic, it begins at 7 Eastern Time on ESPN. So Richard swung his arm.
Sure. Well, they're making sure that they focus on both the offensive and the defensive player. That's something that probably 5 to 10 years ago that they almost taught you, right? And it goes right to his neck area, right? And so anytime it's above the neck area, then they're cognizant about whether it's possibly a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2. I don't think it was excessive. I do think it was a basketball play. I don't think he was intentionally trying to hurt Diaz. He was just trying to open up his arms. They teach big guys to open up their arms and give themselves so they can be a big target for offensive players to pass to.
Yep. Just a common foul. So IUP inbounds in the backcourt. Dylan Benton gets into the game. Also Anthony White. So Joe Lombardi. He's getting in everyone into the action at Rupp Arena. They've been here for quite a while.
They really have.
To Kentucky. Left Indiana, Pennsylvania on Monday, and Lombardi scrimmaged Morehead State on Tuesday. His son Dominic is on the coaching staff there, and now Lombardi sets up this game against his longtime friend John Calipari.
And appreciated this game.
Yep.
He really did. And a pretty good defensive outing. IUP scored 91 points against Morehead State, and I think these fans appreciate it. And tomorrow is a big football game. And if Kentucky can hold Missouri to less than 50 yards in the second half, I give them a shot to win at home against the Georgia Bulldogs tomorrow.
He gets it in before the buzzer. Kentucky an 86-64 win in its final exhibition game. And this team, like it or not, they're ready to go against Duke on Tuesday.
Well, they'll have a difficult task. Give IUP a lot of credit. Came in, played outstanding basketball, but a good response by the Wildcats.
For Damian, I'm Kevin. For our entire great crew, I'm saying thanks for joining us. Good night from Lexington. Now to Dari in the SEC Now studio.
Yeah, likewise. See you next week, Eric.
I'd like my dues then.
Do you have a final stat sheet anywhere? Can you say something else, Todd? Okay, I've got you now. I've got you. Okay. And that's it. Then we'll go to studio. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Coach Cal, this was your last exhibition game, right? You've got some veterans back, but still a very young team. What was your assessment of the way your team played?
Well, I'm really happy we played a pretty good basketball team, senior-oriented, a team, you know, a couple good, crafty kind of players, because these young guys have to learn. There were many opportunities for us to talk and switch, which we didn't, that ended up being baskets. But this is one you go back and watch the tape and say, all right, why is our spacing so bad? Why are we not getting any movement on the ball? I mean, you know, we got some things to work on.
You talked to me earlier, you said you wanted to concentrate on the straight line drives, but you held a team that scored 91 points at Morehead State into the low 60s. What was your assessment of the way you did defensively?
Well, you know, we're going to look at it, but there still were 2 or 3 that were critical plays that straight line, you can't. And again, we foul a jump shooter. Things that, you know, we're fouling 90 feet from the basket, 40 feet. And teams that come in here, they're excited about playing, and they're going to make their free throws, and that you can't give them easy baskets. But this is going to be a process. I mean, we're a team in flux still, trying to figure out who we are and who's going to be able to do the best stuff for us.
When you talk about figuring out who you are, we know next game you'll get a chance to figure out who you really are against the Duke Blue Devils. What are your thoughts?
And unbelievable team with unbelievable players. It's going to be a really hard game for us. But it's like both teams. We don't know each other that well. We're going to try to figure out what we each do. And it should be good for both teams. I'm just hoping that we're prepared and ready to be able to play in a game that's going to be that high level.
Thanks for your time, Coach. We good?